you know, probably I'm going to need a new engine. And this is where I got the first glance of these kind of problems. You know, there's a lot of engine, you know, seizing. We have to replace a lot of them. The engines are back order. Today I'm talking about the investigation regarding the GM V8 6.2 liter who might have a major engine failure. Yes, I rarely, you know, talk about investigation and recalls and all that, but for this one, I think it's a major one, and I used to own two of those particular engines. The 6.2 liter. I used to own a GMC Sierra 1500 AT4 with the 6.2, and it was a 2019. And I also own a GMC Yukon Denali with the 6.2, obviously. It was a 2021. So I used to own those two engines. Why I'm talking about this major investigation by the NHTSA, it's because I saw some of these failure back in the day, and some of my friends were victim of those failures. So I just want to point out, you know, I've been in touch with those engines directly, myself and my friends. So that's why I feel more comfortable, you know, talking about this investigation or recall. Maybe it's going to be a recall in the future. So the NHTSA, it's the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in the US. So they're looking at the 6.2 liter V8 L87. So you can find this engine inside of the Chevy, GMC, Cadillac pickup trucks and SUVs. Between the models of 2019 and 2024. And this this investigation, they estimate it's going to be more than 877,000 vehicles on the road right now. So if you're worried about exactly which SUVs and trucks are concerned by this investigation, they are the 2019 to 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500, 2021 or to 2024 Chevy Tahoe, 2021, 2024 Chevy Suburban, 2019 to 2024 GMC Sierra 1500, 2021 to 2024 GMC Yukon XL, and the last one, 2021 to 2024 Cadillac Escalade and Escalade ESV. So the problem with this, they received 39 complaints about major engine failures. So the actual complaint of this 39 complaints reported to the NHTSA, and it's probably more than 39 complaints. You know, overall, it's those are the people really took time to complain it to this organization. So the complainant report a bearing failure that may result in either engine seizure or breaching the engine block by the connecting rod. So that's a major issue. You know, if you're GM and you want to make a recall, that can be a really costly recall, a major recall. You know, just changing the connecting rod and those bearings and all that. That may involve a lot of work. If you don't know your engine, the connecting rod is just underneath the piston. So you basically have to open the engine completely to replace those parts. It's a big job, a really expensive job. And when those fail, you know, if your engine is pretty much seized, you probably need to replace the engine completely in this case. From my point of view, on my personal take, this is not part of the investigation. This is just my personal, you know, thinking and views. I didn't have any issues with my 6.2 and my Sierra 1500. I had it like for a couple of years. didn't do a ton of mileage on my CRIT4, probably 20,000 miles, maybe less than that. But with my GMC Yukon, I had some issues with it. Just before I was doing a road trip down to Florida, I live in the Montreal area, so it's a good 24, 26 hours of driving going down to Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I went to my dealership. I was trusting my dealership to do an overall, maintenance on my truck before I'm doing a road trip. This is typical stuff I used to do on all my trucks. My dad used to do the same also. But I was, it was a really busy week for me, and I was trusting my dealership. So I did an oil change and all that. And basically, I noticed while I was traveling down to Florida, while I was, driving during my road trip, my oil filter was not correctly. So basically, my oil filter was loose, was not really installed the right way. So I was losing some oil while traveling down. And after a while, it was getting more loose. So I was, losing more and more, oil. So that was not great for my engine. Maybe my engine overheat a little bit. I didn't see it on the gauge and all that. So I was really careful. So, it was not my fault. At the first glance, I saw the oil and all that on the ground. Even in my truck, I didn't have any warning. I was not at that point to have like a specific warning because my oil was low. I went to a dealership. I had some trouble. The dealership didn't want to, pass me that particular day because it was too busy. So I went to another shop who specialized in Fords, and they took me right away. They saw me, with my wife, my dogs, and my young kids. They understand I was traveling. The dealership didn't care. By the way, GM dealership, both overall in Canada and Quebec, terrible. In the US, the ones I've tried, they were not really great. So far here in Quebec, we changed I think 4 or 5 times right lately, me and my dad. So the service is not great. So I got my truck fixed, and when I got back, I had some ticking in my engine heads. So I was worried it was because, it was missing some oil and it overheat while I was driving. So I told the dealership, it was their fault. Probably I'm going to need a new engine. And this is where I got the first glance of these kind of problems. There's a lot of engine, seizing. We have to replace a lot of them. The engines are back order. If you want a new engine, you have to wait to 6 to 8 months. And the dealership basically said it was not their problem. It was not their fault because they didn't do the oil change right. So it was typical of these engines to have always problem in the heads. So instead of saying it was their fault, it was just saying it's under warranty and they're all doing that. So it's not their fault. It's a GM fault. I was like, whatever. I wish at that moment I wanted to have a brand new engine, but I was not ready to wait for 6 to maybe 8 to 9 months. So I took their recommendation, but that was not my first choice. They did a major overhaul of all the engine heads and all that. After that, I didn't have any issues, but I was worried to be stuck with an engine who was not gonna last the run, or really we call that in Quebec here, maybe in the States too, it's just like a lemon car. That's the term I was looking for. So basically I thought my Yukon, maybe I'm gonna have a hard time to resell it. Maybe I'm gonna have some major issues with the engine and all that. And one day, I woke up, I was going to the gym, and my truck disappeared in my driveway. This is typical Quebec Canada, Ontario, and all that, we had like a huge problem of stolen cars here in Canada. So my truck disappeared. Maybe it was a lemon, but it's the problem of the guy who stole it. So probably the guy who's watching this video with my Yukon Denali in Africa, maybe in Abu Dhabi. It's got all my engine problem right now. So that was maybe a good thing. You know, this truck disappeared. So I heard that there was there's a lot of issues with the engine heads. And also one of my friends who used to have a service of luxury locations and all that. He was renting cars, SUVs, trucks, exotics and all that. He had like, I think 3 or 4 of his engine having this particular connecting rod bearing issue, and basically the engine was seized and he had to replace completely a brand new engine. So I was aware of it, but I think now we see more and more cases, and it's becoming a major issue. Almost 900,000 unit can be involved in this investigation. This is pretty major, especially, you know, the V8 6.2 always had a good reputation. It was a good option, you know, power-wise, fuel economy-wise, towing capacity-wise. It was always one of my favorite. A lot of people, you know, when they were towing or looking for more power, sometimes they were they prefer the V8 6.2 liter over the Ford EcoBoost. You know, it's a simpler engine, and you don't have the turbos and all that. So a lot of people were making that choice, and it was more people was like, this is like the safe choice. It's reliable and all that. And I think it's not the case anymore. I think it's a major issue. We'll see where this investigation will go. And sometimes it takes more than a year to get some result all out of those investigation. I know back in I think last year they were investigating the EcoBoost 2.7 liter and also the 3 liter. And sometimes those investigations are stopped by some major recall. I know Toyota is doing some major recall on their V6 twin turbo engines. They also have some major issues too, similar to the GM. So let me know in the comments. Have you ever heard some major issues with the V8 6.2 liter in the heads or the connecting rods and all that? The engine's major failures, seizing and all that. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we're going to see each other on the next podcast.